Random thoughts. In this video, we are going to talk about the language of Kasongo. If you've heard the song Kasongo, maybe you've wondered what language that is and where does it come from. And maybe you already know that language is Lingala. We are going to talk about that language in this video. Now, the language of Lingala is spoken by over 40 million people, mostly in DRC Congo and also in Congo Brazzaville. Of these, 20 million speak it as their first language, and then there's another like 20 million who speak it as their second language. And then above the 40 million people who speak it, there are hundreds of millions of people across Africa especially who know the language but they don't understand it. And I'm going to explain how that is possible. Lingala is a Bantu language, at least its foundational structure is Bantu language. They call a person moto and people bato. Now, that being the case, I recently wronged this language. I published a video where I listed the top 10 Bantu languages based on the number of speakers, and I did not include Lingala in that list. And it's only after I had published the video that I realized I had left out Lingala. With over 40 million speakers, Lingala becomes the second biggest Bantu language based on the number of speakers. It's only Swahili that has more speakers than Lingala when it comes to the Bantu languages in Africa. And coming to the question of hundreds of millions of people across Africa having familiarity with the Lingala, even though they don't know what it means, that's because Lingala has been popularized across Africa by the music that comes from DRC Congo. Going back from the 1950s, music from Congo has ruled Africa. Many people have grown up listening to Lingala, to rumba from DRC Congo, Zaire in the past, that's what it used to be called. And that, of course, listening to this music on radio, in clubs, has made the language so familiar to most people across Africa, or to many people across Africa. Now, let's look at a few of the words and phrases you might have heard of, even though you don't know what they actually mean. There is Mbote, which means hello. There is Sango Nini, which means what's new. There is Nazali Malamu, which means I am fine. Masimingi, which means thank you very much. Soki Olingi, which means please. Moninga, which means friend. Libota, family. Nalingiyo, I love you. Mwasi, wife or woman. Mobali, now this word Mobali Naga. Mobali is husband. Ndeko is sister or brother. Mai, water. Bilei, food. Ndako, house. Mosala, work. Kombo, name. Kosala, to work. Kozala, to be. Kozala na, to have. Linga, to want. Bolingo, love. Ebele, many. Kasi, but. Kombo na yo, what's your name? Komo nangai, my name is. Nzambe, God. Malamu, well, good. Now, Lingala is a variant of a language that used to be called Bobangi. Now, Bobangi was a language that over time became a lingua franca of people who lived, especially to the northwest of what we know today as DRC Congo. But then when the Europeans arrived in that area, the language got input from words from these new languages that were coming in, and over time it became Lingala. Now, Lingala didn't become Lingala overnight, of course. At some point, different people spoke different forms of Lingala. It seems like every neighborhood had their own form of Lingala. It's only the church missionaries in the late 19th century in Congo that came together and they decided to create standard. And that standard was created then by these church missionaries, and it's that standard that has become the standard to date of the Lingala language that is being used. Now, Lingala that is used mostly in the cities like Kinshasa and Brazzaville is generally different from Lingala that is spoken most in the rural areas, especially to the northwest of DRC. The Lingala in the cities has a lot more loan words from European languages and other languages, including Swahili and other African languages. But the Lingala that is spoken in the rural areas has less of these loan words. So yeah, even today there are different forms of Lingala, as in particular those two variants of Lingala. Lingala borrows usually from Kikongo, Portuguese, French, Swahili, English, and many other languages. So that you can have words like futa, which is to erase, and makala, which is charcoal. These are Swahili words. And then you can have words like lopitalo, palais, and coffee, which are French words. And then you can have words like chicol for chewing gum, which is Spanish. And you can have words like manteca for butter, mesa for table, and sapato for shoes, which are Portuguese words. And you can have even English words. The Lingala, in Lingala, milk is called miliki, which is milk in English. And supu for soup. Mami water for mermaid. Buku for book. Motuka for motoka. So this language borrows very widely or from very many different languages. But the foundational structure of the language is, of course, Bobangi, which is a Bantu language. Those are my random thoughts. Masimingi. Thank you very much.